Having an urban green space in your neighborhood can help your mental and emotional well-being. But it isn't just proximity that affects your ability to benefit from these green spaces or the amount of leisure time you have. Age, income, gender, race, educational background, employment status, and even marital status are also predictors of green space use. Meet Sara, a 13-year-old living in an urban city centre. She loves school and wants to be a doctor. After school, she is expected to help take care of her younger siblings. She might go to the park on the weekend, but she is unlikely to stay for very long or engage in much physical activity. Actually, apart from a couple of times a week as part of the school curriculum, Sara does basically no exercise. She has never even seen someone she knows jogging in the local park. She thinks it would be good for her to spend more time outdoors and physically active, but doesn't really know what to do about it. Why? Well, there are cultural and social barriers to Sara's full participation in sport and recreation, but there are those who argue that there are important design issues with most urban green spaces. We're going to look at her local park from a bird's eye view. There are 2 central paths running through it and a few benches on either side. Over here in the far corner of the park there is a skate park, and in the opposite corner is a multi-use games area with basketball hoops at either end as well as football goals. They are both fenced areas with narrow entrances and hard surfaces. Sara went into the games area with her younger siblings once to play when it was empty, but then a group of teenage boys she didn't know came in and she felt trapped and unsafe. She took her siblings out as quickly as she could and never went in again. Every time she goes past these facilities, she sees that they are almost exclusively used by boys. The girls stick to the central paths or maybe walk on the grassy areas a bit. Occasionally, Sara takes her youngest sibling to the toddler area, but she gets bored and tired quickly because there is nowhere for her to sit and no one for her to talk to. A couple of times, Sara has sat with a friend to chat on one of these park benches, but it doesn't feel comfortable, and they feel on display, and sometimes they get stared at. They wish that the green spaces were better maintained. The grass has been worn away where it's been run on in impromptu football games. Sara and her friends avoid the park altogether at night. There is some lighting along the central paths and floodlights in the skate park and games area, but elsewhere is dark and they feel unsafe. They've been warned many times how dangerous it is for them. You can hardly blame Sara for thinking that the park isn't really for her. No one thought of her needs and preferences when they designed it. So what if we redesign our urban green spaces? What if we actually asked adolescent girls what they want from an urban green space? What would make them feel safe and comfortable and more likely to stay outdoors for long and be more physically active? Well, that has been tried and tested, with promising results, in a few places like Vienna in Austria and Malmo in Sweden. Here they tried something that is pretty revolutionary, but shouldn't be if you think about it. They had the apparently novel idea of actually talking to teenage girls to try and find out what would make them use a park more so that they could incorporate these ideas into the design of new parks. So if you ask Sara and her friends what they would like to see in their park, what would they say? What does a park reimagined by them look like? Well, the skate park and multi-use games area are slightly shrunk to make space for a smooth perimeter path around the park for walkers and joggers. Both fenced areas now have more entrances and wider ones. There are more entrances to the park as well. There are a range of smaller areas so that no one group can dominate. These smaller areas are divided by long, curved, well-lit paths with no dead ends. Half of the multi-use games area now has a grassy surface ideal for football, so that other grassy areas can be comfortably used for picnics and other recreation activities. There is research showing that girls spend more time outdoors and are more physically active in places which don't have hard-surfaced areas and that do have active features like gymnastics and climbing equipment. They also value having places where it is comfortable to linger and just hang out, sheltered platforms with hammocks near the paths, seats and benches facing each other are installed in the toddler area, encouraging caregivers to sit and chat. Sara and her friends feel safe hanging out in all these areas since they are visible but don't feel on display. Since the girls frequently mentioned that safety was the most important concern for them in public spaces, every area of the park is now well lit. There is talk of a community patrol starting at sunset to make sure that everyone feels secure in this public space after dark. They are coordinated by the full-time employee who maintains the new toilet facilities located in the center of the park. All of these interventions mean the park is used much more and by a much wider variety of people, including the elderly, pregnant women, parents and children from different communities and sections of society. And this is ultimately what gives Sara and her friends a feeling of safety, other people, and a diverse group of other people. Does anyone you know remind you of Sara? What would a park in your area look like if it were reimagined by her? Share your personal experience with your local parks in the Feminist Park Collective survey. We want to hear from everyone, everywhere. Help us fill in the gaps in our collective understanding of how gender shapes the physical reality of our public spaces.